There are occasional Sundays when the gospel lesson is eyebrow-raising or unsettling. Some Sundays when it is confusing, and others when it is simply shocking. Today's gospel is all three. Your hand causing you to stumble? Cut it off. Your foot causing you to stumble? Cut it off. Your eye causing you to stumble? Tear it out. It's shocking, to say the least. But sometimes we need a good shock to grab our attention. Like the gripping headline of a news article, an advertisement so absurd that you won't forget it, or dramatic stories like the kinds that we tell our children to teach them life lessons. Now, when I was a child, I read, I heard, I watched all the same stories as most American children. I watched all of the classic Disney movies. I read all the great Dr. Seuss books with their great moral lessons. And I heard other great stories with the important life lessons, like Boy Who Cried Wolf, all the classics. What I didn't read were stories like the classic German children's book, Der Struwwelpeter, a story that I've come to love, that I've referenced in my preaching before, though not here at St. James, and you'll soon know why. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Struwwelpeter, which literally means shock-headed Peter, opens with the sad story of a boy who does not groom himself properly, and so he becomes unpopular. On the cover of the book, it's a fittingly shocking picture, and if you haven't seen it, I'll just leave it to you to look it up. But that story is just the first of the series. They are terrifying and scandalous enough that I'll leave out the details not suitable for the pulpit. Take, for example, the very sad tale with the matches, in which a girl who loves playing with matches accidentally lights herself on fire. Or the story of Soup Casper, which tells of Casper, a healthy, strong young boy who one day decides, well, he doesn't want to eat his soup, leading him to get thinner and thinner until eventually he just completely withers away. And then there's a story particularly relevant to us in our cell phone addicted culture, the story of Johnny Look Up in the Air, which tells of a boy who never looked where he was going until one day he walks straight into a river. The boy survives, but his bag of belongings is lost forever. And then a personal favorite. There's the fateful story of the thumbsucker. A story about a boy named Conrad who just can't resist sucking his thumbs. His mother warns him not to do it, but when she leaves the house, well, he sucks his thumbs anyway. Until one day, a random tailor with giant scissors appears and cuts off his thumbs. And that, kids, is why you always listen to your mom. So go the shocking moral stories of Der Struwwelpeter. Now, you may or may not want to tell those stories to your own children. The jury is still out on if Katie and I will tell them to ours. We'll see. But one thing is sure. The stories became popular across Germany, and as many who grew up with them attest, they worked. So even if they aren't maybe your preferred children's stories, they show that sometimes we may need a good shock to grab our attention, to wake us up and show us just how important something is. By the way the Gospel of Mark tells it, it seems like Jesus agrees. Cut off your hands, cut off your feet, tear out your eyes if they cause you to stumble. It seems like shocking advice from the same Jesus who frequently heals and makes people whole. But maybe the point is not really about the exaggerated examples and the extreme consequences, the cutting off of limbs to avoid the unquenchable fires of hell, so much as it is about the real lesson that Jesus is trying to tell us. A lesson so important that a little shock might help to drive it home. And the lesson is this: whatever obstacles we may put in front of others, whatever obstacles within us cause us to stumble, it is always better to let them go. If your social media causes you to stumble, log off or delete it. If your TV programs cause you to stumble, turn it off. If your busy schedule causes you to stumble, lighten the load. Or if it's your politics or your pride, your greed, your prejudice, and on and on and on. Whatever it is that separates us from our relationship with God and following Christ's teaching, even if it's something to which we are deeply attached, and even if it's painful to remove in the moment. It is this purifying process that allows us to persevere, to grow, like clearing out diseased and dead limbs from a tree, or a controlled burn in a forest that clears the brush and allows the forest to grow and to thrive without being totally consumed. Sometimes you have to let dead things go to truly live. I can't tell you what your obstacles are. Only you, and maybe those who know you best, can help you see them clearly. For some, the answers may be obvious, while for others, it may take some deeper, long overdue self-examination. But all of us have those things in our lives that cause us to stumble, and maybe even cause others around us to stumble too. Things that may be so entrenched in our culture, our lifestyle, and our habits, and so enmeshed into our personal reality, our personal identity, we can't even imagine life without them. We may not even recognize it. And that's why taking Jesus' lesson today is so important. Dare I say, even more important than the great lessons we learn from Der Struwwelpeter. Because as Jesus goes to great lengths to grab our attention and tell us in this gospel passage. No matter how attached we are to the things that make us stumble, what we gain by letting them go will be far greater than whatever we lose. Because what we gain is a newness of life filled up with the kingdom of God.